I really want to talk about this Burisma link to Russia if we're ready to go there, because I think that that's a really important
Mm.
story to cover, mainly to highlight that we're years ahead of the game as well, because it's not surprising, right, that if you follow the money, you're going to come across the fact that um, Burisma has links to terrorism because that's where all the money went, right? So Russia opened a criminal case on the US and NATO for sponsoring terrorism via certain entities, including Burisma Holdings. So I posted this video
No,
because I
fam.
wanted to show people that we have been covering this since at least 2018. And of course, uh, there's no surprise that all of this has led to the Crocus attacks because, again, Russia's special military operation didn't begin. It began in terms of like officially in 2022, but everything, including the invasion of Ukrainian entities that were neo-fascists into Donbass began a long time ago during the Maidan coup. As you all know, of course, the United States was heavily involved on that. And when it comes to Burisma, we all know that it wasn't just Democrats, it was Republicans too. It was both sides of the aisle that were directly involved. So first I want us to watch our I rehashed our older report 4 years ago, excuse me. And this report was from before that. So this is then we were talking about the accusations against Hunter Biden, right? And the involvement he had. And I said the entire US propaganda media is lying. We've been reporting on Burisma for over a year. Biden was one of several Democrats who provided US aid to neo-Nazis in Ukraine. He also helped put Hunter Biden on the board of the Ukrainian gas company Burisma as he was trying to start a probe. So let's watch that video, fam, of old school Convo Couch,
Can
and
I
then
say
I'll
something
go
too as well,
into
fam?
yeah.
This is the crux of why the Convo Couch started. This is why we got together, because these issues weren't being talked about enough. We were around a lot of the Bernie Sanders people, the Bernie Sanders diner, and it was very interesting. But we felt we had to educate people on what was really going on, because I think a lot of the left was afraid to see any reporting that came from any conservative or populist right outlet. And just because they're conservative or populist right doesn't mean that they're wrong. Yeah, there will be a lot of nonsense they throw out there. And obviously, seeing them report talking about the bridge was taken out by the CCP, some of them, it's laughable at this point right now. But I mean, for the most part, there are a lot of things that are on the surface that, I think a lot of leftists were afraid to talk about because they would be looked upon as, being conservative sympathetic or Trump sympathetic or whatever the case may be. The truth is the truth no matter what. You got to report on it. And this is something we've been talking about for quite some time. So,
Okay, Jamie, let's play the video and go back in time.
and the skinny is Joe Biden was Obama's front man in Ukraine. And he abused his power to get the Ukrainian head prosecutor, fired so he could put in his own friendly prosecutor that would drop the probe of corruption against this natural gas company called Burisma. Now, remember that name, because the only problem is that Joe Biden's son, Hunter, is on the board of Burisma. Okay? So once they were free of conviction and Joe Biden was on camera, he just recently bragged about it again. He threatened not to give Ukraine, remember the side he backed in their coup. He threatened to not give Ukraine the billions of dollars in aid if they didn't fire this prosecutor right there. And then he was fired 6 hours later, and they took the case, the probe, and they shipped it to another division. And then after that, the money came going. U.S. bank records show Hunter Biden's American-based firm, Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC, received regular transfers into accounts, usually more than $166,000 a month from Burisma from the spring of 2014 to the fall of 2015, during the period when Vice President Joe Biden was the main official dealing with Ukraine in its tense relations with Russia. So here goes Joe Biden abusing his power. And he funneled, they give billions of dollars of Joe tax dollars money, your tax dollars, went to Ukraine, and then they used this money, fam, a piece of this money, to funnel it through a company to give it to Hunter Biden
Okay. And that actually wasn't the video that we had, but I just wanted to bring that out because the Russian Investigative Special Committee has launched this probe into officials involved in NATO and the U.S. for their ties to Burisma and those ties to enacting acts of terror in Russia and also outside of Russian borders as well. So RT did a report on it, and Jamie, you can just start it from the beginning. It's okay, and I'll let you know when we can stop it because there's a few bits of information there. One of them that Pasta mentioned was that Joe Biden threatened to fire the Ukrainian official. And so we have video of that here that I will show as well. So let's go ahead and play it.
It has been established that funds channeled through commercial organizations, particularly the oil and gas company Burisma Holdings, operating in Ukraine, have been used in recent years to carry out terrorist acts in the Russian Federation and beyond, to eliminate prominent political and public figures and inflict economic damage. Working in cooperation with other intelligence services and financial intelligence, incoming sources and further movement of funds amounting to several million US dollars are being investigated, as well as the involvement of specific individuals from government agencies, public and commercial organizations in Western countries. Additionally, investigative and operational efforts are being made to trace the links of direct perpetrators of terrorist acts to foreign supervisors, organizers and sponsors.
Russia's investigative committee is looking into millions of dollars worth of financial transactions from the West that may have gone to funding and financing terrorism both in Russia and beyond its borders. And the committee's determined already that some of the money that has made it into the hands of terrorists has come from the company Burisma Holdings. Now, many people may find that name to be familiar because it's the same Burisma Holdings that Hunter Biden, son of Joe Biden, did business through in Ukraine for many years. And it's also a company that's been widely accused of being a vehicle for Biden family corruption. According to the former Prosecutor General of Ukraine, Viktor Shokin, he says that the Biden family bribed Ukrainian officials to the tune of $1 billion to remove him from his post after he launched a criminal probe against Burisma Holdings for corruption.
They were being bribed. The fact that Joe Biden gave away $1 billion in U.S. money in exchange for my dismissal, my firing, isn't that alone a case of corruption?
As if an accusation like that from such a high-ranking official wasn't suspicious enough, back in 2015, Joe Biden publicly said that he had withheld a $1 billion loan guarantee to Ukraine until officials there had removed Shokin from his post.
I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well,
okay.
Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid. So,
Pasta, I remember specifically, we showed that video, right?
Yeah.
We showed Joe Biden bragging about this. So back then, it was obviously important because the elections were coming up and this was the potential Democratic nominee, and you highlighted how all this stuff is going to come back, and it did. It came back in 2020, and of course, then we saw the New York Post be censored on Twitter and be censored everywhere for talking about Hunter Biden's ties to Burisma and Joe Biden, of course, by extension, and the $1 billion that he supplied. But there he is, the
4 years ago,
Ukrainian diplomat. Yeah, and this was 4 years ago, but even before that, we had discussed this in a video where you laid out this exact video where you talked about that. So seeing that now, how do you feel? And also, what's your analysis on the ties that are now, the money ties being discovered by the Russian Investigative Committee on Burisma?
Well, for all those people out there who say, why is, Fiorella Isabel, who's just a brilliant mind, always, partner up with like a schlug like Pasta, because Pasta can pull into the bag and pull one out every once in a while and bring it to the forefront. It's not that he's just better looking and funnier. He also can, get a good one out there every once in a while and show it there. But I mean, once again, it's the analysis back then was also, we had to be very careful because once again, we were looking as if we were being sympathetic to the right wing for some reason, for people caught into that sports mentality. And we understood the risk we were taking too as well if we started putting that stuff out there. To this day on YouTube, it still says part of the guidelines that if you talk a lot about the Ukraine-Russia war, that you're subject to be stricken down and silenced and demonetized in the whole 9 yards. So, I mean, for me, it was as simple as day. And all people had to do was look about what was going on. There was also another video we played a long time ago when Donald Trump had become president, right? And he was about to take office, and it was Joe Biden on the phone with, I think it was, what's his name? Pork Chop Poroshenko, who he attended his inauguration, right? When he was telling him, hey, man, Trump's going to be looking into this stuff. You got to hide a lot of your tracks over there. You got to make sure what's not going on. It was just very easy to put the pieces together because it wasn't just Joe Biden that was carpet bagging in the Ukraine. Nancy Pelosi's son, Paul Pelosi, got energy contracts. We had discovered that people who were tied to oligarchs that were regaining power back in Kiev because the existing government was being thrown out were very sympathetic to people like Adam Schiff.
Yep.
I forgot his name.
Really quick,
Yeah.
I just want to show some of the stuff that I put in the document because, Jamie, you can put this because this relates directly to what you were saying. Yeah. So one of these documents that we had from our old show where we talked about how Josh Romney, was exposed because he was Mitt Romney's son. He had ties to the controversial oil waste pit Enviro News. And then you had Biden's son, Kerry, family friend as well, joined the Ukrainian gas producers board. So you have that as well. Then you have the Wall Street Journal report on Hunter Biden and a close friend of Secretary of State John Kerry's stepson have joined the board of a Ukrainian gas producer controlled by former top security and energy official for deposed President Viktor Yanukovych. And you can see here what Pasta was mentioning, Adam Schiff. We talked about this way back then. The Taste of Ukraine reception for Adam Schiff, hosted by none other than Igor Pasternak on July 18th, 2013, before the Maidan coup. Okay. And look at the contribution information, $2,500 to $1,000. And of course, make checks payable to who? Adam Schiff for Congress. And you can see that as well. And also the Independent went on about Adam Schiff's friend to Igor Pasternak and all the money that was involved in there as well. Fan.
Yeah. No, yeah. You also have John Kerry, right? I don't know if we brought that up too. And Igor Pasternak, by the way, got a lot of the, from what I understand, a lot of security contracts of sorts, defense contractors. Once the Yanukovych government was fled. And listen, this is something that when I talk to people about what's going on, and I talk about Vladimir Putin and the Russian government, first of all, I explain to them that Vladimir Putin is not a dictator. He doesn't act just what he wants to do, how he's feeling when he wakes up one day and says, okay, let me just do this. He has to go to his parliament. He has to go to his government, get approval, whatnot. He tends to follow along international law as much as he can, except when they just, thwart it against him. But there are reasons why that he had to push back. And in fact, you have told me, and this is something we said before you even moved out there to work, that a lot of people felt he dragged his feet in getting involved in what happened in Ukraine. And if it wasn't, and if you look closely, the 2 weeks leading up to the military actions was because the United States was pushing, and that's why you heard people like Joe Biden, like, we have inside information, and Andy Blinken, we have inside information. No, what they did is they forced Russia. It was the end of the road. They had no choice to get involved. Like Putin has said, we got involved not to start a war, but to stop a war. But the bombing that was intensified on the people of the Donbass had been intensified so much. In fact, we heard people say when the Russians got in, thank God you got in here because we were about to be slaughtered. What we were dealing with the last 8 years while you were trying to pass Minsk 1, Minsk 2, try to find some agreement to say, let's just have a peaceful ceasefire, never worked out. And you dragged your feet. But thank God, better late than never, because it was about to get seriously intensified over here. And why do they do it? They want all this to cover their tracks. Everything you just put up there, fam, all the carpetbagging from Adam Schiff, John Kerry, Mitt Romney. It wasn't just, Paul Pelosi. It wasn't just Democrats. It's never just about Democrats. The Republicans get involved as well. You can't think left versus right. It's what fam has said this for quite some time. It's us versus the establishment, plain and simple.
Yeah. And so, shout out to Pasta for bringing up that story way back then. And even before that video I posted, we actually talked about it before that. This was closer to 2020 when, of course, that story was brought up against Hunter Biden and the laptop story and all of that. And can you believe it's been 4 years since 2020? Because I can't. It feels like it was just yesterday. And then so much happens in a year that you're like, wow, and if we thought we couldn't top the January 6th stuff, the Bernie Sanders debacle, all of that, man, ever since then, it's been COVID, it's been the war in Ukraine, it's been what's happening in Gaza. It keeps getting worse and worse in terms of what the United States is doing. And at any given moment, we will go to war. The United States is pushing to go to war with powers that it can no longer defeat, that it is completely dismissing. And I think at some levels it's dismissing it, but at some levels I think they know what could potentially happen. And again, I'm not saying Putin is ready to push the trigger in any way, shape, or form, but Russia will defend itself. If you have official NATO troops there that are officially fighting Russia, they are going to get killed. And Russia is going to protect themselves. And I don't think Russia will be safe until they reach Kiev. Because the reality is now they have gone, the United States has gone too far. NATO has gone too far. There's no security guarantees for Russia whatsoever. And until Russia gets those security guarantees, they're not going to have a real conversation because they haven't been given a real option. So again, apparently Donald Trump says he's willing to have a conversation about, giving the Donbass and Crimea to Russia, as if that didn't already happen, as if it wasn't already, chosen by those people. But nonetheless, that's what he's saying. But we don't know because, again, Donald Trump said a lot of things the first time around that he didn't do when he became president. So,
some of this stuff is bittersweet, but it also explains what's still going on. Some people, I got agitated a couple weeks ago when some people in the chat were mentioning this person's flying by you and this person's flying by you. Fiorella is now working for RT. I did some work for Jimmy Dore, and I just got back starting my own channel, doing my own thing. We've only opened up our own channels because we're trying to find some way for monetization because the Convo Couch has been struck down for so long. And this is not the only topic we have talked about when we were comparing with the carpetbagging, what was going on in Ukraine. We struck lightning in a bottle as leftists talking about the whole Epstein situation, because I think it was very unique. You had me and Fiorella on the couch in a very casual way, opening up about what was going on in the Epstein situation. We had videos where nobody was on. There was no celebrity on our show. It was just us doing this work where we had almost 500,000 views, 300,000 views, 200,000 views. And then we started talking about, elections too as well. And they really made sure that we wouldn't get our word out there, that they silenced us. And I'm very proud of the work we've done because, Keith McHenry was on my show the other day and we was talking when he saw us when we were talking about COVID. And he was like, holy shit, there's other leftists out there that are talking about COVID the way these guys are. And it makes so much sense. The leftist movement, the progressives, their number one enemy was who? The pharmaceutical lobbyists. Now you're just going to bend a knee to them. Why aren't people making more sense like these guys over here? But it is bittersweet because we've been demonetized, shadow banned, stricken down so many different ways from Left of Tuesday. I mean, we're still not making money on this channel going on 4 years. You know what that's like? Most people who do get their YouTube channel taken down never recover, never come back. They go back into the regular world at their 9-to-5 jobs and do what they have to do because they have to pay bills. And from what we saw from that video when they were recording the spook who was saying, oh yeah, that we nudged them, fam. That was the word they used. We nudged them as a way of going after them in a criminal manner, in a financial manner. And he even said with Alex Jones, yeah, we were after him. What do you do? The first thing they do, take away their finances, take away their ability to continue to do their work, make them distracted and feel hopeless. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they've done to us So it is kind of bittersweet, but we did. And then to our credit, we were talking about this a lot before a lot of other outlets were on the left. And I'm very proud that we were both there on it, because that's where we were. I remember when we started this channel, it was just, it was two things in particular that stick out to me. Maybe you might feel different. Number one, a lot of our progressive candidates at the time, we wanted to find out a way that we can get them interviews because they couldn't break through to the mainstream media. So we felt a duty to do so. But it was also about the foreign policy, because we would be considered foreign policy junkies that were not known or spoken about in our circles. Everybody was talking about the culture wars and racism and reproductive rights, but they didn't even know what was going on in Kiev and couldn't find it on a map. So it was important, we thought, I think, to bring that to the table to educate the left. And as we started educating people outside, the normal bubbles of what was going on with Burisma and Hunter Biden, and it was this whole different crowd, that's when the ruling class and the big tech companies said, pull the channel on these guys quickly and kneecap them, because they're reaching an audience that's normally never reached. So I'm very proud that we had those moments and you went back and showed that video. And like you said, fam, we were talking about it even before that. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing it up, because that was you leading the conversation there, and I thought that was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just introspective. You were ahead of the time, and we've been ahead of the time on so many things. And I'm not bragging. It's just a reality, and not just us, a few other people as well, but few and far between when it comes to COVID, elections, and Russiagate. I was accused of being a Russian bot a long time ago. And the other day, Facebook showed me a story or a picture of like when you put a background of Moscow on me, and that was like in 2017 or something like that. And people are like, weren't you afraid that they were going to accuse you of being, a Russian, like some sort of Russian agent? I'm like, I've been accused of being a Russian agent for years now. What else is this? Okay, congratulations. You're right. I moved to Russia. I'm an agent. Like, okay.
The I love Putin shirts that we were kind of rubbing in there. Steve Koikinen wanted to take it. He goes, because we had the heart with the arrow through it. He goes, make the arrow a missile, right? And like he's like really lead into it. Let's mess with them and stuff. But I do want to make an announcement still. Thank you so much for those compliments, Fee. But everybody still has to understand that Fee was when we did this show and started the show. We have our roles. Fee is the smart one, the educated one, the college degrees, the intellectual one. I'm the good-looking, funny one, and that's the way we're still structured to this day. We still have our roles. Thank you, fam.
You're welcome, fam. Yes, you're definitely a good-looking one. I agree.
Don't make me get Italian on you, fam, and don't you dare.
If you want me to get,
no,
you want me to go.
Not you. Stop.
No, Marissa Tomei. Come
on.
Never,
ever do I want to hear your Marissa Tomei. As well. Robbie
rude.
Burns stabbed me in the back. Oh my God. E2 Brutus. Sorry, Pasta. Can't agree. What do you mean? I always like to say good-looking one, but everybody knows they love Fiorella, and I get it. I understand why.